Welcome to another episode of Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I'm Mike Ricksecker, your host, and your hostess is Vanessa Hogle. Welcome, Mad Hatters. And go ahead, say hello. I hate it when I do that. I'm like, say hello, Vanessa. It's like,
hey, what's up?
it's just a little awkward. I don't know. Whatever. Say hello, Vanessa. I don't know.
I know, right?
Right.
Well, they like it when we shoot it from the hip.
Yeah, true enough. So, welcome, Mad Hatters, to another great episode. We're going to be talking about haunted crimes tonight. So, we're talking about locations in which, had a crime and are now haunted. And we're going to take it from a couple of different perspectives, some of the more famous locations. And then, I was thinking that, what Vanessa does with her remote viewing can tie into it in a very different angle, but I don't want to get too much into all of that with her because I know she gets kind of inundated with that at times. Yeah, so let's go ahead and give a few early shout outs. Of course, we have Shana, our Shananigator, down there in the chat room doing so much to help us out. My love. Hello, good evening. And early on, we had, Tammy Sifford was the first one in tonight. Welcome, Tammy. Lynn's White is also in the house tonight. Thank you. Jay from Michigan. Jay, thank you for joining us again tonight. Bethany Warner, thanks for stopping in. Dan Hilbert, as always, thank you so much. BPI Gwen, hey, I finally got to meet Gwen this weekend. That was awesome. So...
she was excited.
Yeah, it was great to finally meet Gwen. And you know what? I ought to show you guys. Here's the chat room. So any of you that are new to Edge of the Rabbit Hole here and what we do, our chat peeps are the Mad Hatters. So we threw that out there one day. What would you like to be called? And they said Mad Hatters. Cool. So there they are, the Mad Hatters. Who else do we have in here tonight? Andrew Cox, thanks for joining us. Ectovision Paranormal. Sean Gilmore, thank you for joining us. There's Vanessa in the chat. All right, Snaggletooth.
I know. I had to hop out because, of course, as soon as the show starts, my son texts me.
All right. A couple more. Donna Bucksbaum, thank you for joining us again. Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast. Aaron, thank you. Or is it Britt? Sometimes it's one or the other. All right, guys. Veronica Flores, thank you, and we got to get into the show. We'll do more shout-outs at the end, but of course we always like to do a few up front here. So, a couple other housekeeping things to get out of the way real quick, and then we'll get into the show. Our Haunted Road Media family member, Kat Gash, her husband is back in the hospital, and last year he had a stroke, was in the hospital for a long time, and we did something special for her where, we gave her all of her royalties for her books early, and I threw in a few extra bucks and all that stuff to kind of try to help her out a little bit. So pick up her book, Life Amidst the Paranormal. It's a really good book, a lot of great, interesting paranormal experiences in here, but with Ray back in the hospital, they could use some help. So, and Kat's awesome. She's a very, very sweet lady. And
wonderful lady.
Yeah, she really is. So, so get that. I'll end up putting the link down below if I remember to do so. But you can just go to hauntedroadmedia.com and get it right through there. Also, of course, we have Ghosty. If you haven't gotten your Ghosty yet, of course, Ghosty's still available at hauntedroadmedia.com. And the new, you guys okayed it. Edge of the Rabbit Hole shirts. Of course, these are still available as well. And if you have a special size request, please go ahead and email me. Right now we have small, medium, large, extra large available. But for a second run, I'll go ahead and do some special size requests, which I probably should have done first time around, and just, it was first time we were printing them off. I just did kind of the basics.
Well, and we're going to be getting Jana's on the 23rd, so
Okay.
I need to make sure that I have a medium for her, okay, because she just messaged me and asked me about that.
Okay.
And the doctor that I worked with and the girls that I worked with this past weekend when I was doing surgeries, they all wanted one. So they now
Nice.
have the link. And payday is the 23rd, so expect some ordering about that time.
Cool. Yeah, it's a cool shirt. I know Gwen picked one up when I saw them down at the Exchange Hotel, and so did, let's see, Tina Nichols picked one up. I know Chris bought a couple.
Alan?
Yeah. So it's cool. It's the Mad Hatter's official Mad Hatter's t-shirt. Awesome stuff. What else? Of course, we're still taking submissions for the third Encounters with the Paranormal book. Yeah, Vanessa, get yours in, because I really only want to keep that open like maybe another month and a half, because now I'm going to have to start the whole editing process and everything, and my summer's already kind of crazy with, because I got to do Vanessa's book. So, so there you go. There's one other.
I did edit it for you as much as I could, Mike.
Oh, it'll be
so
fine.
There is minimal you have to do.
It'll be fine. The Encounters book can be out is going to be out after yours, so I'll get them in order of precedence, but I just have that window that I eventually need to close. So, one other thing that I was thinking of that I need to take care of, and I can't remember it right now. Maybe it'll come to me in a little while. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get into the show, which haunted crimes. So. There's a lot of different ways to look at the term haunted crimes. Are they a reenactment of a crime that happened? The residual energy left at a location. Is it a crime that's about to be committed that somebody like Vanessa is picking up on? There's a lot of different views to look at it, but we'll look into like a couple of the more historic ones first. So. Yes, and Shana, you need to submit a couple too. She just said that in the chat.
Amy's asking about Amityville.
Oh, Amityville. You mean this? Oh, there it is.
Oh, who would have thunk it?
Who knew? We're not going to start. We're going to start with H.H. Holmes.
See?
Tease. We'll get there.
Sorry.
But I wanted to start with H.H. Holmes, just because he had the whole murder castle, right? And now it's actually a post office, actually a side lot next to the post office, and there's like maybe a little section underneath the post office that was part of the basement of the murder castle, and they do experience some different energies down there. They've seen some dark shadows down there. Of course, they hear creepy noises. It's the basement, so of course you're going to have that. But I guess something that I've always been kind of curious about, because people talk about the murder castle itself, but people kind of tend to forget that his last few murders were not there. Although people that had suffered those murders there, some more horrific ones, were at the murder castle, but his last few weren't there. In his whole insurance scheme, he murdered the guy in an office. A couple of children that he ran off with, he killed them in different houses and locations across the country. And nobody really talks about those houses and whether or not those houses may have, in those buildings, have some sort of activity going on. So I thought we could talk about that a little bit and kind of take a different angle, a different perspective on the H.H. Holmes murder. So what do you think, Vanessa? What about those other locations?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's a lot of it is going to be based on intent, on the intensity of the crimes, how much the crimes were committed in a particular area, because you're going to talk about saturation of feelings, emotions, the fear being the biggest one. That I have found, honestly, that fear leaves the biggest imprint. You would think that love would, and things like that, and it does. It leaves a great one. But the most lasting is fear. And to me, the other areas are going to have a higher saturation and concentration of that type of energy than one where only it happened a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. And I've found that in my own personal investigations, that the areas that had an excessive amount of activity, especially one that spanned over years, really tend to be just almost sick with it. And the other thing, and something that we haven't brought up, and I know if Gwen's watching this, she would agree with me, is that saturation of those emotions actually affect people who are on the property years later, and can actually kind of influence them to commit similar crimes.
Okay, so you think they would become so oppressed, maybe, or are they just feeling like a heaviness for which was kind of an oppression anyway?
Yeah, what I have found, because I did investigate a particular location that had a lot of sexual violence, a lot of sexual violence to minors and otherwise, and that happened hundreds of years ago, and was still kind of causing the new people over the decades after that lived on that same property to commit crimes of a similar nature.
So kind of the same reenactment happening again. You think maybe, well, let me throw this out there. Do you think that maybe there's an energy there associated with the property? And we kind of dealt with this almost a little bit at the Edmund house that we did for the Haunted. That there was a possibility that there was original energy there, maybe associated with the land, that was causing multiple people to have the same emotions, same feelings. In that case, it was to commit suicide. Because it happened. There was one actual suicide. There was one attempted, and then with the third one, she was getting those feelings of wanting to do that. So it kind of made you wonder that maybe it wasn't somebody who died there. It would have been the father of the original homeowner. Maybe it wasn't his spirit, but maybe it was something that was already there, with the property. So do you think that maybe at some of these locations that have had, multiple crimes like that, maybe it's not, the murderer, from the original crime, maybe it's something that predated the murderer of that crime and got into his psyche and to, maybe oppressed him to get him to do that, and then once he was gone, he was out of the picture, in jail, dead, whatever, that, new person in the house or building now, and now that entity or, oppressive energy is doing the same thing to this new person.
It's always a possibility. It's always a possibility. I tend to feel like it has to have a beginning, and it could be the land, it could be whatever the land has seen, and kind of an amalgam of emotions that can cause those things. But when you have a specific act like suicide that is affecting one person to where they actually commit it, another to where they attempt it, and another where they're actually thinking about doing it, that is a very specific behavior pattern. And to me, that would be more of a specific entity or spirit or ghost, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes you comfortable, okay? That is actually almost kind of like jumping in like they do me. They kind of jump on in, And to me, that's what it would be. If you're talking about just random violence, then it could be many different crimes or many different situations that happen on a particular plot of land. And that gives you the broad span of criminal behavior that could happen from it. But if it's specific, that leads me to believe that it is an individual.
Okay.
That's what I've run into.
No, and that makes sense to me. Yeah, it's if it's too random, yeah, that doesn't jive.
But if it's specific, there's an individual that is doing their damnedest, either A, to try and have that happen, or B, their memory, their leftovers, energy, so to speak, that's imprinted on that area is so strong that it just affects those that are there now.
Yeah.
If you're talking about random ones, I would be really interested, and I wished I would have thought about this beforehand, and I didn't, so y'all are hearing about it now. I wish that there was a way to go about seeing different areas like, in, was it Whitechapel in England?
Okay.
Where the Ripper case happened, or with H.H. Holmes, or any of these other areas
right.
that have had a high level of violent behavior in the past that might have left a spiritual or paranormal imprint. I would love to see if there's a way to track those specific areas and what has happened in them, paranormally speaking, since, or if they have affected in the same way and not just random. It had the same type of crimes being committed over and over and over in those areas.
Right.
I think that'd be one hell of a study.
Oh, it would definitely be interesting. Yeah, I mean, were there any crimes like that predated Holmes in that area? The thing about Holmes, though, is it seemed to kind of follow him. If you look at his life, he was doing things, at a young age that kind of really built up who he became. But there could have been something there that tipped him over the edge. I don't know.
Could have been. It's so hard to say because what I just saw on Facebook, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about a family that killed their young daughter because they said that she was possessed by demons.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that to be accurate. But there's always, and you and I know this. We know what happens. There is always a chance that you can have an attachment that can cause you to do something.
Oh,
sure.
That
is awful, and it does make one wonder. If any of those people, like H.H. Holmes or anything, had an attachment, had something sitting on their shoulder telling them what to do, doesn't make them innocent. But I'm just throwing that out there. I'm really curious about
it. Holmes believed the devil was with him. I forget exactly what the quote was, what the comment was, but he believed the devil was with him since he was young. That was just to him, it was kind of his fate in life. It's like, the devil was with me. This is what I did. This is what I do. So
that's kind of a terrifying thought.
It is. So that's what he felt, and he was okay with that.
Well, and now people will scoff at that, but I'm going to tell you something that very few people know. Very, very few people know. Everyone knows I practice pediatric dentistry, and I worked for a dental office years ago, where I had a little boy that I was working on, and I couldn't even finish. I physically had to get up, and I had to go tell my manager, I cannot work on this child. And she says, why? And I said, because I've already seen what he's going to do, and I can't work on him.
Oh, wow.
It was awful.
Okay, Ectovision Paranormal, that's Sean Gilmore. Which,
hey,
go check out Ectovision Paranormal's channel. They got some great videos out there. Can a spirit, just scrolled by, can a spirit or demon really make you kill, though? Can they take away all of your self-control? I think what happens is, you still have free will, but I think they become so influential over you that their suggestion almost becomes like your own thought. And so you're making the decision off of all this very oppressive. I don't. What do you want to call it, Vanessa?
They are like a drug.
Yeah.
And just a drug can affect your decision-making skills and your ability to reason. So can a malevolent attachment. And I have proof. And that is not something that I ever claim, but I actually have proof.
Yeah, I mean, you hear of, and I've been on cases where the person that has the attachment is just totally not themselves. They'll have like moments where they are themselves, but then all of a sudden they just turn into this whole other person. And and still, I don't call it a possession, but an oppression, because it's like something's just working on them so hard that they end up just buying into what they're being fed in doing it. So they're still making their own conscious decision to do these different things and be these ways, even if it's at a just very remote conscious level.
Well, and people don't know enough about this, and rightfully so, because this isn't, the bad part of it isn't something that people talk about a lot. And this is actually something that I've left out of the new book. But I'm going to tell y'all now. I'm going to tell you now.
This is not in the new book.
It's not in the new book. So, I mean, no one has heard this yet except for the people involved. Mike, you haven't even heard this. Okay?
Okay.
One of the investigations that I was on in Virginia, where some bad things happened to me, we were supposed to go to an additional location. And I was pretty much forbidden to go there by a dear friend of mine. He says, it's not going to end well for you. This is not going to be good. We might not get you back.
Oh, wow.
And this particular location I had already remote viewed for, and told one of the parties that was aware of it exactly through pictures that were sent to me of the house. I told her what was happening in each room, what each room was for, and what I felt was going on there. And I said, if you can just get me to the property, just get me to the property alone, and I can stop that shit. Trust me. And my friend said, a different friend said, absolutely not. You're not allowed to go to the property. And y'all know me, I've got to really trust this person for someone to tell me I can't do something.
Right.
Because I don't play that way. But he knew. And he knew what was going to happen to me. And the night before I had wanted to go to that property was the night that I got taken over by about 20 or 30 of them. And they were taking me to that house. I know where I was going. They were taking me on foot to that house. This is when I had to be tackled in the driveway. Okay? Here's the thing. The person that lived in that house had already told their relative that if I stepped foot on that property, that I wasn't going to make it off. Okay? They'd already told them that. If I stepped foot on that property, I wasn't going to make it off. The next day, after I was tackled in the driveway, they called their relative and said, well, why don't you bring your friend over? Why isn't she coming? I thought you said you were going to bring her. Trying to get me on that property. Because the 20 or 30 that had hopped into me didn't make it.
Oh, wow.
Does that make any sense? Did y'all follow that?
Think so.
I was being led there for not good purposes.
Right.
It was not going to be good for me. This person who lives in that house had been summoning, had been playing with things that he should not play with, and inviting things in that he should not invite.
Gotcha.
And that's what wanted me there. And they were affecting his judgment, the way he dealt with relatives.
What's going on?
Okay.
Well, there was a question in the chat about what's the blue light behind Vanessa.
Yep.
I saw it too, so what's the blue light behind you?
my door doesn't move, and it just started creaking when I was talking, so I shut the door.
Is it Ralph?
I think I maybe should have kept that story to myself. We'll just put it that way.
Is Ralph related to the story?
My house the end of the night. Okay.
No, is Ralph related to the story?
No, Ralph is older.
Okay.
Ralph is older.
Something's going on in your house. It seems like there's always something going on back there whenever we get the show started. It's like, I think he likes the show. Is Ralph a Mad Hatter? Hey,
you know what? You gotta have fans, right?
Could be. Ralph could be a Mad Hatter.
Ralph is an asshole. We're just gonna put it that way. But I mean, I hope I couldn't give away names, or else it would make it a whole lot easier to discuss that particular situation.
Sure, yeah, I get it.
But I know firsthand that they can affect a person's logical way of thinking, how they interact with others, and they can actually promote a violent streak.
Well,
so it's not a stretch.
Well, let's take that and roll into Amityville, because Ronnie DeFeo, otherwise known as Butch DeFeo, did have at least one of his stories. He's had a few of them over the years. One of them was that he got possessed or influenced by an evil spirit to commit the murders. And it's one of the tales. I mean, there's so many different tales that have come out of this. And to me, the real horror is the murders, not the story that the Lutz family came up with. And so, I mean, a couple of them, have to do with, either, he did it alone, he was possessed or influenced, there were drugs involved. There's another story of his sister helped him, and then at the end he killed his sister, and, a lot of different possibilities. And he's changed his story, like 3 or 4 times now. It's really ever gotten down to the real truth of it. Because one of the most unusual things about it is that, it was a quiet evening, and he was blowing off a gun, how many times, and nobody heard it? The movie has it as a, thunder and lightning and a storm going on and all. No, that didn't happen at all. It was a quiet night, and somehow, some way, he got all these shots off without anybody hearing it. So I don't know. You don't know if he was truly possessed, if the sister was involved.
He wasn't possessed.
What's that?
He wasn't possessed. I actually covered this on the Ring Show.
Did you? Okay.
This is what they've told me. He wasn't possessed. The only thing that he was possessed by was drugs, alcohol, and the fact that incest and verbal abuse and physical abuse ran rampant in that family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was all kinds of domestic violence and all kinds of crazy stuff. There were mob connections. In fact, and I actually did include this. I'm going to plug a documentary series, and they don't even know I'm plugging it. But Shattered Hopes. It's a 3-part documentary series. On the Amityville house, primarily on the DeFeo family. They do touch on the Lutz story a little bit. Of course, they have to. And but they actually have interviews with Butch DeFeo in jail, all that stuff. But they go deep into all the mob connections and all of that stuff that were involved in this case. And yes, drugs and domestic violence, and just it was really a.
The big kicker was incest.
Yeah.
That was the big kicker. That was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that just couldn't be reasoned away in his mind. That's the one thing that could not be reasoned away in his mind. He is actually one who, if there's anybody with a lot of money out there watching this, one of my dreams is to actually go and interview some of these people. Because I think I actually could get something out of them. I really do. I'm a sweet gal. They'll talk to me. Let's give it a go. And I'm not afraid. So, but that's the thing that could not jump over, could not get past that, and that is the main reason behind what happened.
Yeah. So, let me ask you this. We'll jump around a little bit here. The Ghost Boy. Do you think he's John DeFeo? Now, for those viewers that don't know, basically, this was from a camera set up by a professional photographer in the house. He snapped off, a series, boom, 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 of all kinds of pictures. This was in one single frame of that photograph series. Nobody was up there at the time. But in this one frame...
I believe it's real.
Yeah?
I really do. I always have.
Yeah, this is one of those that has never had a proper explanation for, other than it most likely is a legit paranormal photograph.
Yeah, it's never been a doubt in my mind that it was. When Noreen and I have done some of the shows like the Ghost Pigs, there have been some where I'm like, no, I can do better than that on my phone. This to me is legit. And if anybody can prove me wrong on that, so be it. By all means, please have at it. But I have always felt that this was legit, and I believe he's still there.
Yeah.
So, and that's heartbreaking for me because I'm a mom. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
It is.
But,
it is,
yeah.
And it's if there is a haunting of that house, it's likely the family members, not a red-eyed pig, because I mean that.
I know, right?
Jody the pig. Okay, the whole pig thing. I'll just hit that real quick. There was a neighborhood cat named Jody, and they would make fun of this cat. It would appear in their window. They would make fun of this cat because I guess it was big, and they'd call it, a pig, even though it was a cat. So that was Jody the pig, was a neighborhood cat.
But it's movies, and they have to do what they have to do.
Well, it was in the book first, but yeah, it was whatever the Lutz family came up with.
We talked about that, remember, with Annabelle. It was Randy Andall.
Well, yeah, they got to change that up for Hollywood, sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. It's just, it's the story, not the Hollywood hype of it, that always intrigues me.
Yeah, but the real story is so much more intriguing anyway, and there are things that go on, like that photograph. The family that had been living in it, the house went up for sale last year. But the families that have lived in it since have claimed that the house hasn't been haunted. I think that they're not admitting to anything because they don't want the publicity. But it's not what was in the book or in the movies or what have you. Of course, there's also some Indian burial grounds nearby, so that's always kind of played into it as well. But the family being there that was murdered, I believe that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the thing is, and that's what kills me, and that's what it always bothers me about when people talk about hauntings and, people lived in the house for 20 years after the fact, and they never had anything. You and I have discussed this, and went in depth with it before. That time is irrelevant. Just
they don't have that sense of time.
Yeah, just because it's 20 years now doesn't mean it's 20 years in that realm. It is literally irrelevant. Also, so much plays into part. Are they gifted in any way? Do they have any, sensitive abilities? Are they complete and total skeptics? Which you and I both know, if someone is a die-hard skeptic, a ghost could come down and wiggle on their face, and they would still swear it didn't happen.
Right. No, we've talked about that before, where a diehard skeptic will just say, well, it's something you would call a ghost, but for me, it's just something I can't explain yet, even though they know they've had the experience, they just don't want to admit it. But you're going to have people like that. You're going to have people where it's like, no matter what happens, they can have an apparition standing right in front of their face, talking to them, and they will say, no, it's not a ghost. And then you'll have the other side of the spectrum where everything's a ghost.
Exactly.
You can have a speck of dust falling from the ceiling. Oh, there's a ghost.
Yes. It always does tickle me. It really does. But that's what paranormal means. It means along the side of normal.
Right.
So if you can't explain it, and it's not normal, it is paranormal. That does not mean, that you have to believe in them, but it just means that, if you can't explain it, it's not normal, it's paranormal. That's by definition, that's what it means. But it's true. I have known people who have had experiences that rival mine.
Right.
And they will justify and rationalize and pick it apart so much that they will convince themselves it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, y'all,
of course.
You know what? You're more nuts than me.
So Andrew Cox says, Mike, I heard a kid's voice in my apartment at 2:30 a.m. The kid's voice told me, will you please stop? And I was reading and researching the Amityville murders, and I've seen the autopsy pics. This was in 2011. Interesting. So I've heard a child's voice saying stop. Yeah, the autopsy pics are really, really gruesome. Another thing that's interesting about this, the photographs apparently are still available, but a number of items from the murder that night, you go into the police evidence room, gone. So that series that I was talking about that I showed a little while ago, when they were doing their research, and of course they went down there to the police station because they're supposed to have everything still in the evidence lockers, and things have gone missing over the years. And
Has anybody checked eBay? Makes you wonder, don't it?
Makes you wonder. Oh yeah, it happens. It actually happens in a lot of cases like that where time goes on and they become trophy items for some, of course, unsavory officers.
Yeah, and it just drives me crazy. But that's another place I would love to go into. I mean,
oh yeah.
I know I say this a lot. It's true. I would actually spend the night there.
Oh well, of course, yeah.
You can follow me a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that actually got me rolling with the paranormal. I mean, I had a couple experiences when I was a kid, and I had written some short stories as a kid, all that stuff. But when I read that book, I was a freshman in high school, and I read that book, and instead of scaring me, I was intrigued and curious, and was like, I want to go there. I want to find out what really happened. Of course, I'm reading the book, and the book says, "Oh, this is true. This is what happened." And as a kid, I'm believing that. And so it's one of those things that inspired me to be, even more curious about the paranormal and really get into this. So I do have to credit Amityville for that.
I kind of do too.
Yeah.
I actually begged my mother to take me to go see the movie when it came out. Keep in mind, I was about this big.
Right.
Okay. I'm not much bigger now, but I was about this big. Mm-hmm. And I begged her, and I can tell you the exact scene that scared me. And out of all of it, you wouldn't think it'd be this one.
Right.
But do you remember when the cat jumped up in the window?
Well, yeah.
I literally jumped from my seat without touching the floor. My happy ass hopped straight up in the air and landed in my mother's lap. I mean, nothing but net. Okay.
Right.
But that along with The Exorcist and everything else, it just kind of solidified my need to go into this, to delve into it a little bit more because of what I do. Didn't make me go public. Mm-hmm. It did do the same thing for me.
Yeah. Tammy Heisman is saying the same thing in chat. She says, the Amityville horror book. I used to read it over and over when I was a young teenager. I wore the book out. Yeah, I read the first one, and then any variation, because I had a lot of them. I tried to get a hold of. There was one that was about the objects from the house. Of course, it was a total fabrication, a total fiction, but it was stories about haunted objects from the house. And so and I was in a small town. That was like the two books that they had.
Really?
Were the original and that one. Yeah, it was. I was hard pressed to get my hands on anything relating to the paranormal. Anything about spirits or the occult or whatever. It was hard to find those in the library back then, which is one of the reasons why I loved, and I've talked about this before, why I loved the advent of the internet is because it gave you access to that information and connecting with people who had similar experiences. So
that's so true. I mean,
yeah.
These discussions, you're absolutely right. They wouldn't be happening without this type of forum.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
And I think it's still a lot for the field. I can't bitch about that. It's kind of some areas not so good, but but it's done a lot for the field, and I'm thankful for it every day. Or else I wouldn't be doing this. What other cases you got there?
Well, the other one that I threw up there is just a photo of John Wilkes Booth. Now, this is a crime. This is an assassination of a president, and his trail. It's like every place he touched has some sort of paranormal activity going on. There's the Surratt house where they, after they fled Washington, they got provisions from. They had like rifles hidden in the walls and all kinds of stuff that were set out for them there to pick up on their flight out of Washington. In fact, it was one of the rifles did in Mary Surratt is basically what happened because. The way they had it was, if you can imagine, up in the attic area, the way the houses were done back then is, you had the main beams going down, and then they had the small pieces of wood going across, and they plastered over, right? So from essentially the attic, you could look down all the way, and it was just, this narrow space. You could essentially look all the way down to the bottom of the house. So what they did is they hung up from the rafters of the attic the rifles that hung down in between the walls, and they mishandled one of them, and it fell down into the wall in the dining room. And so basically, when the authorities came, they tore out the wall and got this rifle, and that did in Mary Surratt. But that house is haunted with a number of different things, like heavy boot steps. You've seen a Victorian era woman there. I think there's been a little girl. I can't remember all the different things, but so there's that house. There's the Samuel Mudd house, which is where John Wilkes Booth had his leg tended to, and I've been there a number of times. That house is extremely haunted. I've had some interesting experiences there, where they've got the bed impression. In the room that John Wilkes Booth had slept in, like in the mornings, there's this impression in the bed as if somebody had been sleeping there. People have seen, my friend Rhonda Dixon got a photograph of Samuel Mudd there, a fantastic photograph. His wife has been seen there, and then all kinds of other stuff that goes on in the house. There's the dolls that get thrown off the chair. So that house is haunted. And then there's the whole legend of, it's kind of the conspiracy theory of, did John Wilkes Booth actually escape? And so there's the Granbury Theater. Yeah, there's the Granbury Theater in Texas that's supposed to be haunted with the spirit, and then in Enid, it's a furniture store now, but it had been a hotel or something at one point, and they still have his room there, from the day that he died. And that's supposed to be haunted as well. So there's all these different locations that John Wilkes Booth had been ever since he assassinated Abraham Lincoln that are all haunted.
Yeah, he did escape. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that right now. So just be okay with it.
I've wrote about it. It's in Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma. So I'm quite fine with it.
Yeah,
it's an interesting tale.
The thing is, and this is just my version of it. This is the way that I look at it. Anytime you have any type of traumatic activity or a high emotional instance that happens someplace, yes, you can leave your imprint on that. Yes, you can have hauntings or poltergeist activity or whatever the heck you want to call it happen in those locations. But what it can also do is kind of punch a hole and allow other things to come in. And other types of activity to happen from something that wasn't even tied there. It's any place that has a high emotional vibration, or any person who has a high emotional vibration can draw paranormal activity. So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily that person that is haunting, but it could be, especially like we were talking about before, if it's random, it could be just that they punched a hole, and allowed others to come in as well. I mean, at least that's what I've found. I mean, you call it a portal or whatever. I just punch a hole. They punched a hole. I don't really know what else to call it.
So what about this? Maybe it's not, just a person that's there, but maybe, because we talk about like a person becoming a beacon for, like you, for spirits to come, talk to them, through them, at whatever, but paranormal, supernatural activity, spirits become really, really attracted to a single person, and we call them, they're like a beacon. What about a specific building or a house that maybe so much energy is built up there over the years from different things that have happened there, that the building itself becomes a beacon for those spirits to flock to?
I agree that can happen. I've been in certain places where it was like a fucking train station.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. There is different time frames. I mean, you can see somebody walking past you that looks like they walked out of a sepia picture from the 1920s, or somebody from the Civil War, or somebody from the Revolutionary War, whatever. They don't seem to know each other's there, but I can see them. Right. And it literally is. It's like you're in the middle of Grand Central Station, and like I said, punched a hole, Buildings can be the same thing. I mean, certain materials are actually have a higher vibration quality that allow paranormal activity.
Oh, sure.
Limestone.
Yeah, you talk about limestone, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have, and because any natural stone, think about that. I mean,
right.
What do we use in the paranormal field for? Pendulums. What do we use for cleansing, to protect our home? Anything like that. Those natural stones have vibrational energy.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking. I guess what I'm just thinking is, here's this guy. He's just committed this, atrocity. He murders President Lincoln, and he's carrying that type of energy with him across the countryside. Everything they just did, of course, and then he jumps out of the balcony and breaks his leg. So now he has all of this, pain that physical pain that he's in. So he's got the negativeness of the murder. He's got the pain that he's in right now, and he's traipsing across the countryside with all of that. So, our, supernatural entities, our spirits, seeing that, are they picking up on it somehow and following along with him?
Very possible. Very, very possible. And people can poo-poo it away all they want to, so they can reason away, they can justify, different things that are happening. But fact of the matter is, you can't deny when something leaves a trail. You just can't. When somebody like myself or someone like, Gwen or Donna or anyone else goes in and they go into a location and they can pick up on things that can be verified later, you can't deny. I don't care who you are. You can't deny that is solid evidence of things that they couldn't possibly know, and if it spans generations, that's a trail.
Yeah.
It's just showing you that, and like I said, the whole train station thing, bus station, whatever the hell you want to call it, airport, I don't care. But when you have that many different people coming through, but they're drawn to a particular way, it's kind of like living in Oklahoma, okay? Oh. I'm going on a limb here, I'm jumping down that hole, but it's kind of like living in Oklahoma, where we are situated in the United States. We always know, for the most part, within a few miles, the line that tornadoes are going to go on.
Yeah.
We always know.
Yeah, your tornado alley, right.
Yeah, with the jet stream, everything else.
Yep.
Who's to say, and that's all energy, who's to say you can't have the same thing paranormally? speaking.
Maybe.
And I'm jumping out there, but just roll with me, okay?
Got a question from the chat room.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's a little more specific. It's from Bethany Warner. And she says, I'm moving into a new home where there was domestic abuse. The couple is still together, but should I be worried?
That home needs to be cleansed before she moves in.
Yeah, you're going to have the negative, oppressive energy from that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She has 3 rooms that she needs to focus the most on, and that is the bedroom, the bathroom, and the kitchen.
Okay.
And it's the bathroom. I want to say it's only got 1 in it, but if it does have more, it's the bathroom that's closest to the master bedroom. Those 3 rooms are the ones that she needs to focus the majority of her energy on, and she needs to start in the bedroom and work her way out. And every damn window needs to be open. She needs to have all her juice behind it as far as get that energy out of there. And it needs to happen at least once a week for a good 2 months. Period.
Okay. She says there are only 4 rooms in the house. So.
Okay.
So
I guess.
bedroom,
bathroom, and kitchen.
All right.
Gotta happen.
Okay. So I hope that helps Bethany. So yeah, you definitely want to get that cleansed.
Bethany, holler at me on Facebook. Okay. Sorry.
No, that's fine. If somebody asks a question like that, we gotta take it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
We gotta take care of our Mad Hatters.
Yes. Absolutely. What else are they putting in there? Okay. Shauna's taking care of her too, so good.
Well, yeah, and Shana is. I mean, they were talking some things about stones and stuff like that because, and it's kind of interesting. It's like like. Even if it's like a small snippet of something like that, it'll get mentioned like for like 5 seconds. They will start a whole conversation on that in the chat room and just run with it, which is great.
I love it. It's not just us networking; it's them.
Yeah.
And we're getting that conversation going, and to me, there's nothing better.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of different perspectives on all of this that we've all been experiencing throughout our entire lives, and so Vanessa and I don't have all the answers, so we're open to all kinds of discussion. There's been some great insight and opinions and what have you within the chat room. There's no end all be all. There's no I know this for a fact, blah 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 blah. Most of what we're talking about is theory and speculation. It's like we have ideas of what's going on and what have you, but we really need to discuss through it. It's like so. Hey,
we learn as much from our Mad Hatters as they learn from us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Snaggletooth has a question for you. Says, I have a question for Vanessa. My wife's father passed away in 2002. My apartment is haunted. Could the spirit that is haunting my apartment be my wife's father coming back to check up on my wife?
It could be, but it isn't always. Because I read that question as you were reading it.
Okay.
The person that I actually see when I read this question, he is male, but he's not the wife's father. That doesn't mean the wife's father doesn't come there. Doesn't mean the dad didn't come there. But the fellow that I see is in his early to mid 30s. He has brown hair, brown eyes, stockier build, maybe 5'10". He's not a tall fella. I see him with a lot of drink. It seems to be there's always a drink in his hand, and I don't mean water or soda pop.
Okay.
Okay, so he's got on those white Nike tennis shoes with the blue stripe on them. Do you remember those high tops from like the 80s?
Yeah.
Or the 70s? Okay, so I see those, and he's got on a jean jacket, and he's wearing one of those, like the flannel shirts underneath it, so it's kind of like he's across from the preppy kid from Breakfast Club and Grudge. So if you could cross Judd Nelson and Emilio Estevez, that's what he looks like to me as far as his dress goes.
Oh, wow.
His tends to run a little bit longer around the back and short on the top and the sides, but not full mullet. He's clean shaven. He's always playing loud music. It's like he never got out of high school, even though he was in his 30s.
Just playing loud 80s music. I'm all for that.
Who wouldn't be, right? Okay.
That's my kind of ghost right there.
He brings the
except the drinking part.
Yeah, he brings a smoke smell with him. I want to say that it was trauma that killed him.
Okay.
But something about it feels intentional.
Okay.
Whether it was his intent or somebody else's, I'm unsure of.
Okay. Well, I hope that helps, Snaggletooth.
I do too.
Yeah.
Holler at me.
I do want to give a shout out here. I know I usually do the shout outs at the beginning and at the end of the show, but I thought this one was really interesting. Mandy and Joyce says, thank you for always doing good shows. Just got up to get the show, and again, I have overslept in the UK. Love and light to you all. So getting up in the UK to catch the show, you gotta love that, because they're 5 hours ahead of us. So ahead of me. I guess they're 6 hours ahead of you.
Yeah.
So that's middle of the night right there. Thank you for joining us. So
Snaggletooth said thank you, Vanessa and Mike, but I don't know if that's verified. You know, so I'm hoping that they'll contact either one of us and let us know, because if I can do anything to help, I will.
Mention something else. Shana's talking to Shana in the chat room, talking about the amethyst that I got for her a while back. That piece of amethyst was, and see, I think stuff like this matters too. It wasn't store bought. It wasn't something that I picked up at a like a paranormal convention or a spirit fair or something like that, where they got the bins of stones and all that. It was a piece of amethyst that I actually got from the ground myself. It was at Moorfield Mine in Virginia, so this is just west of Richmond, and they periodically at Moorfield Mine will let people onto the premises to go through a lot of their their offshoot stuff, and they have the sluice boxes and all this stuff that's there. So it was a piece of amethyst that I actually got while mining there, and then I had at the time a vibratory tumbler, and I polished it down a little bit and all that stuff to make it kind of shiny. So I think that matters when you personally get a stone like that from the earth yourself. I think going through that process, and even adding to the fact that I polished it up and all that, I think that adds a little bit of its own personal energy to it. What do you think, Vanessa?
I agree completely. Matter of fact, when I was in England for my friend Chris Loper, I actually took a stone from the Hellfire Caves.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and people don't know why when they read the book. But
talk about some crime going down.
Yeah. But no. I mean, it was literally from like the wall.
Oh wow, okay.
It's so much different picking it up from the ground and holding it yourself, and just knowing that nobody else has touched that, and that is literally the earth's energy and yours on that. That's it. And so you have the rain and the dirt and everything else that's just saturated that for so long, and then you give it to her. And to me, that is a million times more powerful than something you would pick up in a store. And the stuff in the store is good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, not knocking it, but
damn.
I think, but I just think that whole process adds something to it.
Absolutely. Plus, all the energy that you had when you got it is on. So, damn. You know what I mean? I'm answering a question real quick in here. Jana was asking, what's the best stone to ward off attachments? We discussed this on the last show. I think it was the last show. So instead of typing,
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about like black type of stones, like onyx, jet.
Onyx, jet.
Obsidian.
Yeah, obsidian. You can have a hematite is good actually to kind of balance your vibration. But for somebody like Jana, and you're watching this, so I don't have to type it because I'm sucking at that right now. Jet would be the best choice.
Okay.
Because she's my people's. So jet would honestly be the best choice for that. And for those who are looking into any stonework, always keep a kyanite, black or blue, doesn't matter, if you keep a kyanite around, and they're a little pricey, but they look like blue or black wood is what they look like. You can actually use those to what's the word I'm looking for? Cleanse your own stones. Not charge them, but cleanse them. It'll pull off any negative energy that might have attached itself to your stone. So that's something good to have around. A nice little velvet bag with the kyanite in it, and put your other stone in that bag with it. Close it up and leave it in there overnight, and that'll cleanse that stone. So just a little witchy tip for you.
Nice. Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast, and go check out their channel too when you guys get a moment. Said in regards to the whole amethyst thing, Mike, it's like the Buddhist monk green tea prayer experiment, or mom making you chicken soup. It's love. And yeah, it definitely love has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
So, well, Vanessa, it's an hour. We're at the hour mark. I know.
Oh shit! I only had 2 cigarettes.
Wow, that's pretty good. You cutting back?
Yeah. I should, right?
Yeah. Probably be helpful.
I know, right? Actually, Jana wrote me on here and said, "Would you light that damn cigarette already?"
Right, you were holding it for a while. Snap said that he messaged you on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I'll definitely go on there and check that out.
Okay, cool. So I still can't remember what the heck it was, the other thing that I was supposed to mention at the beginning of the show.
I don't know.
I don't know. There was something.
We do need to tell everybody that we will be at SilCon.
Yeah, that's September 9th.
September 8th and 9th.
September 8th and 9th, yeah.
Yeah, Friday and a Saturday, right?
Right, yeah, I always forget the Friday part of it. To me, it's just, I have it by weekend, which all of my weekends are like booked for almost the entire rest of the summer. So yeah, SilCon.
That's in Mattoon, Illinois?
That's in Mattoon, Illinois. And so you got on board with that just, the other day.
Yeah.
We also have the Florida Paracon in August. That's August 12th. And
13th.
12th, I think it's 11th, 12th. Because Friday's the 11th, 12th is Saturday.
Okay.
Also, there is the Spook Show, July 15th in Mattoon, Illinois. That's also Becky Castillo who's putting that on, same as SilCon. And then July 29th, St. Albans event in Virginia, which I'll be at. There's also Indiana. What is the town? It's August 26th in Indiana. It's the Hannah House in Indiana, August 26th. And then I gotta think of it. The Paranormal Outlet in Avon, New York is opening July 1st. I will be doing a book signing there August 19th, but they are also going to be stocking some of our books out there. So if you are in the Avon, New York area, which is south of Rochester, go check it out.
Okay, so my turn.
Your turn.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're in June, right? Okay, so July, I will be in Eastern Pennsylvania, spending the night in the Horsefly Chronicles Portal Room, the night of July 13th. The 14th and 15th and 16th, I will be investigating in Staten Island, New York, missing persons case and the Cropsey legend at Willowbrook State Hospital and all over Staten Island. Incidentally, there is a WitchCon in New York same weekend, and I ain't even gonna lie, if me and Julia can make it to it for a minute, best believe that's gonna happen, if it can. August, and then July 29th, I have a book signing, readings, and lecture to give at Books and Brews here in Lexington, Oklahoma. I just got that squared away for anyone who's local in the area. August, Lost Coast Paracon with Mike. September, I know me and Jana got something going on for the life of me. I can't fucking remember what it is. I'm just going to have to go with that. We'll just see. October, I will be me and Jana and Gray will be meeting up with Kim Neiman and investigating in Tombstone, Arizona.
Cool.
And then in November in Moundsville I think it's Moundsville at West Virginia Penitentiary.
Yep.
For
That's
the
Moundsville.
night.
That's Moundsville. Yep. Very, very cool.
Yes.
And this did just happen today. It's not an event, but it is an investigation, and that is next weekend, July 23rd. I will be with Ectovision Paranormal at St. Joseph's Hospital, just 10 minutes down the road here in Lorain, Ohio. So they invited me out to that one. They actually invited Shana and I out to that, but Shana is not going to be able to make it, unfortunately.
That super Woody boy wants me to tie my damn hair back.
Yeah. Well, we got one question here. This is from X Group Home Kid. Is it just me, or is Vanessa Mike's sister by another Mister?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. Yeah. And super Woody boy, I will work on that, but I'm letting it dry because it just got out of the shower, dude. So just chill, okay? Plus, this is how I deal with my nerves. You people make me nervous. You can't tell it, but you do. So there you go. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That about wrapped it up for all of that stuff.
Apparently my hair is a mess.
Yeah. Oh, I see it. Tie that damn hair back. Yeah.
It doesn't like me.
You mad hatters. You guys are mad. Said, you mad hatters. You guys are mad. So, Snuggles says, Mike, I have my ghostie sitting on my laptop. Awesome. It's a great place for the ghostie. Actually, what I usually do is I don't always have them sitting back here. I just have them sit back here for the show. But down here on the tables where I usually have them, or when I'm on road trips, he goes around the dashboard. So
mine hasn't got to go on a road trip yet, but it's good.
Ghostie on a road trip.
Mine's sitting right back there.
And I know I've been a little bit behind on some of the ghostie pics, but continue to send them in. You know, we'll get them posted out there on the on Ghostie's Facebook page, and still, if you haven't picked up your ghostie yet, you gotta get your ghosties. So yeah, ghostie. Man, I almost ran out of ghosties this past weekend at the Exchange Hotel. Yeah. So a lot of people are getting their ghosties, and they're sending in the pics, and so I'll get them posted. I've been really busy. And I know some of you have said that I look tired. Tina Nichols was saying that this weekend. She was like, "You look so tired on."
That's what I'm always telling you. Just a little sleep. Oh, I can't say shit because I don't sleep neither, but still. Just a little.
There's too much I have to get done.
I
got some sleep last night. Yesterday, it's like I'm so behind on so much stuff right now because yesterday was like gone. Of course, I got up, went to work, did all that. My Uncle Bill was in town because he was having a 50th class reunion for college down in Dayton, and so my aunt had a gathering at her house last night with a bunch of family over, so I went to that, and by the time I got home from that, I was just beat. I checked a few things on social media. I was chatting with Shana a little bit. I was in the middle of typing her a message and totally just crashed right out.
Shit. Hey, that's like what you and I were talking about before the show started. I have finally turned in my notice to my second job. Because I just can't.
Oh my God, are you really?
What?
Shana, you're talking about... She put in the chat about how I ran into a guardrail. I backed right into it. We were... Oh my God, okay. So we're doing what we do. We go looking for cemeteries, and we're looking for like the cool, stone architecture and masonry and all that stuff. And we were actually on the way to a different one, which we never found. We discovered later on it was like way deep in the woods, and we weren't going to get there. But we're driving to, I think it was Whitehall. Yeah, and so we're driving past a cemetery. We're like, oh, there's a cemetery over there. And I should point this way. Cemetery over there. And there was this one, it was a crypt, a mausoleum. And it had, like, around the upper part of the door part was round. and from our angle, you couldn't see the bottom part of it, which was more rectangular. So it looked like a freaking hobbit hole, in the side of this hill.
That's awesome.
And so, I stopped the car and I'm backing up and I'm like, look over there. There's, it's a hobbit hole, and so I'm just backing up the car so that we can go into the cemetery, and boom, I backed the car right into the guardrail. 'Cause I wasn't watching. I'm like, we're looking at the hobbit hole. So, yeah. And Shana thought I had backed into a car, or a car had hit us, and so she was about to jump out and like haul off on whoever had hit us. It's like, no, it's just me.
She's bitching. Cha-Cha's bitching. She's got to go potty. Mama's almost done.
Cha-Cha.
She got me good.
So.
It's the most action Mama's had in a long time. Yes, it is. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So yeah, I'm hitting inanimate objects with my car.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's better than a person.
My car's kicking some butt. It has almost 250,000 miles on it.
Jeez.
And I've got I don't know how many more miles to drive on it this coming summer. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm catching up to you.
Snaggletooth is asking, where do you send my ghosty picture? Okay, well, you could, couple things you can do. You can send it to me through Facebook. You could also send it to haunted@hauntedroadmedia.com. Those are probably the two best ways. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Yep.
I gotta take this dog out.
All right.
We're past time. Okay.
We're past time. We should wrap it up. So, yeah, I still don't remember what the final thing was that I was supposed to mention at the beginning of the show. It's not the end of the show. Oh well, we'll get to it next show.
Yeah, or we'll put it on Facebook or whatever.
We'll put it on Facebook. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I remember. Okay. There are a number of you Mad Hatters that were very kind in offering to help out however you could with the channel and everything that we're doing here with the Rabbit Hole and with Haunted Road Media and all that. And I know I said, well, yeah, that'd be awesome, and I didn't really have any idea what you could do to help. But please go ahead and contact me again. Got some ideas. We've been chatting a little bit, and yeah, so go ahead and contact me again. Hit me up, and really appreciate you guys offering to help with what we're doing here, and certainly appreciate all of you. And so go ahead and hit me up again, and we got some ideas. So.
And they've already, huge shout out to the shares, the likes, the all of the work that y'all do on social media for Mike and mine's benefit. It does not go unnoticed.
Yeah, it is greatly appreciated. So
unbelievably appreciated, and we love every last one of you for doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I love the tight community that we've been developing here. It's been fantastic, and just from being able to share each other's experiences and learn together. I think that's really the key, is that we're all learning together here about things to do with the paranormal, with the supernatural, about each other. It's
one big psycho family.
There you go.
All back here.
Mike's wearing the wrong shirt. Go Clemson. No, this isn't Ohio State football. Although I don't really get into college sports, but if I were to root for a college team, it would be Ohio State. But this is Ohio State Reformatory. So since we're talking about haunted crimes tonight, I thought that would be an appropriate shirt. And Vanessa's busting the gut.
I'm okay. I do need some liquor.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Vanessa has to take the dog for a walk. I'm sweating my ass off because the AC isn't running. So, Mike's ghosty needs insurance. Mike's ghosty needs a sock. So, all right, everybody. So, for Vanessa Hogle, for Shana... Wait a second. I'm forgetting.
What?
The shout-outs.
Oh, shit.
Shit.
Okay.
So, while Super Woody Boy is reminding us, the dog has to pee. Well, the dog's going to have to wait for the shout-outs. Okay, real quick. Here we go. Because we have to do this. So, of course, yeah. And Shauna's telling you to breathe, by the way. So, of course, there's our chat Shananigator, Shana, Charby Vapes and Fly, thank you very much. Mandy and Joyce, thank you for getting up super late hours, middle of the night in the UK for the show. Did we have Robert White out there tonight? Our buddy from Australia?
Did not see him tonight.
Yeah, I didn't see him tonight. Tammy Heitzman, of course, thank you for all of your commentary this evening. Donna Gorton, thank you always. Tammy Sifford, thank you as well, always. Lynn's was out here tonight. Lynn's White, thank you very much. Bethany Warner, thank you for your questions. Ectovision Paranormal, Sean Gilmore, thank you. And he was wondering if you're okay, Vanessa.
I'm great.
Yeah, Ether Shadow, thanks for stopping in again, joining us. Andrew Cox, of course. I'm pretty sure he was talking. He was talking a few different locations this evening in the chat. Neo 370. Oh, that's shoot. That's Joy Shaw. Joy, thanks for joining the chat tonight. Joy's awesome. Joy's very cool. Snaggle275, thank you very much for your questions, and Vanessa will be in touch.
Tammy Sifford needs to stop.
Diane Hilbert, thank you very much for, as always, joining us this evening. Donna Bucksbaum, it sounds like Donna's going to hook up Shauna with Limp Mansion. That's awesome. Scott Latea, thanks for joining us again. What's that?
I can meet you there.
Well, they'll get it figured out.
Okay.
Scott Latea says, call 1-800-GHOSTY. I save 15% by switching. Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. A couple more here. Maybe. Oh, Joanne Rubino, thank you for joining us again tonight. And do we have any more? I know there's a lot of people that were through the chat all night long. There was a Jen L who said goodnight at one point. Jen L. Did I ever say Super Woody Boy? I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got Lynn's in there, you got Donna.
Yeah.
Gordon, you got Bucksbaum, Tammy.
Janet was in there earlier too, and I know Gwen was in there earlier too. So okay, we'll end with that.
Okay.
All right. So that'll do it for us this evening. So for Vanessa Hogle and Shana Wankel down in the chat room, I'm Mark Ricksecker. You guys have a good evening.